TV Johnstown.
So hold up! Go! Lighten the load! Lighten the load! Throw down the trunk!
They're catching up!
Get rid of the Strohs!
Get rid of the Strohs? Good thinking, Bart. Yeah.
We've been comparing the AMC
on Channel 4.
ABC's Monday Night Baseball, live from Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. Tonight, the Phillies host the Pittsburgh Pirates. And this ABC Sports Exclusive is brought to you by Chevrolet and Chevrolet dealers coast to coast. By Texaco, with over 66,000 employees doing their best at their jobs to keep your trust. By Allstate Insurance Companies, you're in good hands with Allstate. And by Gillette, makers of Right Guard. Yes, men count on Right Guard because men perspire more. Couldn't be a better evening for a baseball game in Philadelphia, and it's a very important game in the Eastern Division of the National League, as the Pirates are leading and the Phillies are hoping that their fortunes will turn around. As you look at the standings in the National League East, the Buccaneers are on top by a game and a half over Montreal. Then it's Chicago and St. Louis, and finally you find the Phillies, 7 games off the pace. And suddenly it is the ball club that was supposed to run away and hide that is really struggling deep into the month of August. Hello again, everybody. I'm Keith Jackson. It was during the month of July that these Pittsburgh Pirates really started to come together and make their move toward the top. As a matter of fact, they have been winning on the road, and when you win on the road, that's a very important factor. You can win a division. We know that from the immediate past. Pittsburgh, 33-24 on the road, the best road record in the National League. And there are some other factors that add up to success for these Pittsburgh Pirates. They brought over Tim Foley to play shortstop from the Mets. Bill Madlock came to play third base from the Giants. They moved Phil Garner over to second base, and suddenly Pittsburgh's infield was glued together, one of the best in the major leagues. There's an 11-man pitching staff on this Pittsburgh club. 8 of them can start. That gives Chuck Tanner tremendous ability to move around amongst his pitching personnel. The 2 relievers, Tekulve and Romo, have been outstanding for them. Attendance for the Pirates up some 200,000 over a year ago, so life is pretty rosy right now for the Buccaneers in Pittsburgh. But that is not the case for the Philadelphia Phillies. Let's cover that story now with Howard Cosell.
Thank you very much, Keith. The Phils, of course, entered the season predominant favorites to win it all again in the Eastern Division of the National League. One of the chief reasons, the acquisition of Pete Rose, the unconquerable ball player. But things haven't worked out that way. The Phils have indeed had a hospital roster serving as their team throughout the year. Only 13 times thus far has the entire Philly starting team been able to start as a unit together. Even now, tonight, Mike Schmidt and Bob Boone will be hampered by injuries, although they'll be in the lineup. It's been that way all year long. The pitching, too, has been disappointing. They've got the highest earned run average as a pitching staff in the entire league. Then there are the managers to be reckoned with. And as always, we have the Twin D, Don Drysdale, down on the field with Danny Ozark and Chuck Tanner. Take it away, Twin D.
Thank you very much, Howard. And, of course, standing to my left, the manager of the Phillies, Danny Ozark, and Chuck Tanner. We're going to start with you because as you look at the Pittsburgh Pirates right now, it appears that you've got everything in sync. Everyone's playing good ball.
Well, we're playing the best ball we have all season, Don. And the last
40, 50 ball games. Everything's been meshing. We're healthy again, and things are going right for us.
Is there a catalyst on your ball club? Is it Dave Parker or is it somebody else?
Dave Parker's our big man, but everybody's had to contribute. It's been 25 men contributing for us, and Parker hasn't got hot the way he's capable. And last year about this time, he got the bat going, and he carried us, and we went after Dan. We couldn't quite get him. It was a great race. It's going to be another great race this year.
It ought to be, and Danny Ozark right now, it's, I guess, a case of trying to put the pieces of the puzzle and put them in the right spots as far as the Phillies are concerned.
Well, we're pretty healthy right now, Don. We have a couple guys that are injured, but they're able to play. They go out to each and every day and try to give you the best they can. That's all I can ask for. I'll go along with Chuck and say his big man hasn't got hot, but my big man hasn't got either. Greg Luzinski's going to start swinging that bat pretty soon, and look out. I think it's going to be a great race, and we'll probably have one just like we did last year.
Danny, when you mention about Luzinski, a lot of the people here have been on Greg Luzinski, but they've also been on Danny Ozark as far as the press is concerned. I notice you put your name back on the door.
I just switched it around. I put Ron Terlicki up there, trying to confuse the issue a little bit, but they've been on me a little bit, but this is 7 years. I'm kind of used to it. Things grow on you a little bit, and you kind of forget what they say up there and what the fans say. We've got a good ball club, and I'm proud of the players that go out for me, and I think we're going to go ahead and do a lot of things that a lot of people don't think we're capable of doing.
Chuck, right now it's the Pirates on top, and of course the Phillies back, but there's also other clubs that you have to reckon with.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Montreal, St. Louis, and the Cubs are in the thick of it, just like the Phillies and Pirates, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing go right down to the last 2 weeks of the season. And I honestly believe, Don, this is the toughest division in the major leagues. The Mets are tough. Don't kid yourself. They are.
I was talking to Tim Foley, says they can't beat anybody but us.
Well, that's the truth. The Mets rack us, and it's funny because of the balance in the division. Some clubs give other clubs trouble, and so it's going to be a grind all the way.
Danny, what do you have to do to get back up in the race?
Well, we have to get our pitchers healthy. I think right now they are healthy. We've got to get Luzinski to swing the bat well. Get Mike Schmidt where he can run the bases like he's capable of running, and then keep swinging the bat like he has in the past. He's pretty close to 40 home runs right now, and I'm sure he's very capable of hitting another 20. The guy's he's awesome. He's got great hands. The bat is quick, and he hits the ball a long ways.
And we might see a little bit of that tonight as Jim Bibby will go for the Pittsburgh Pirates. It'll be Larry Christensen for the Philadelphia Phillies. And thank you, Chuck, and thank you, Danny. Good luck. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Keith spoke of him at 288, 44 RBIs. Dave Parker, the great player, 320 homers, 75 RBIs. And the eternal Willie Stargell at 298, 22 homers, 56 RBIs. John Milner doing a job at 298 with 14 home runs. Then Bill Matlock, twice league batting champion, at 277. Eddie Ott is the catcher. He's at 261. And maybe the man who has really cemented this team together, Phil Garner, at 297 with 9 home runs. Finally, the pitcher, Jim Bibby. He's gone 2 for 25. Here's Keith to set the defense.
The crowd still rolling into the ballpark, and it's been a kind of a day in Philadelphia that was almost autumnal after a real hot spell. They had a thunderous rainstorm here yesterday that cost them a ball game. But today has been absolutely comfortable, and it's a lovely evening for a game as the Phillies take the field. And let's set them for you defensively. Greg Luzinski will be out in left field, and Greg's starting to hit the ball more now, and the fans are getting off his back. Over in center field is a guy who can go get him with anybody, Gary Maddox, and he's shaken off that disaster of a couple of years ago when he dropped the ball in center field against the Dodgers that cost the Phillies a chance to win a division. In right field, another flyer, Bake McBride. McBride came over from the Cardinals, and he's been playing outstanding baseball ever since coming here. Moving to the inner defense at third base. Here is one of the injured players who's working tonight, Mike Schmidt, with 39 home runs. He has a very sore groin muscle. The only way you heal those things is to rest. But right now, it's hard for Mike to get any rest. At shortstop. And when you talk of shortstop in Major League Baseball, this fellow's name is always right there, Larry Bowa. At second base is the young man who came over from the Chicago Cubs, and everybody in the world thought this was the guy that would really seal up the infield for the Phillies, Manny Trio. He's a very good one. And at first base, the man who got all the publicity during the offseason, Pete Rose. And Pete Rose has more than paid his bill already here in Philadelphia. We'll enlarge on those points as the game wears on. And back of the plate, Bob Boone, son of Ray. He's playing tonight with the third finger on his right hand, slightly fractured. from the ball game on Saturday, but says it doesn't hurt him. Out on the mound is a big horse of a guy, 6'4", 215-pound Larry Christensen. He's been on the disabled list twice this year. He was involved in a charity bike ride with Tug McGraw out near Sacramento, California. Last February, he got tangled up in some railroad tracks, fell off the bicycle, and broke his collarbone. And as he pitches tonight, there is a spur in the right collarbone that is, I suppose it's calcium, and it digs into his shoulder, and it'll be a miracle if he goes the distance. The dimensions for the stadium, 330 down the left side, 371, 408 dead center, and the dimensions are the same on the right side. To finish the story on Larry Christensen, on July 3rd, he pulled a groin muscle while batting against the Mets, and he has just now come off the DL for that. Against Pittsburgh, he's 0-1. His last outing, he was a 4-2 winner over Montreal. So here's the big right-hander who was born in Everett, Washington, raised in Marysville, Washington, who now lives in Ardmore, Pennsylvania. And here comes Omar Moreno to the plate. It was said when Moreno first came up to the Pittsburgh Pirates, if this kid can learn to hit 250, he'll steal 100 bases a season. Well, he's hitting 292, and he's burning them up. Harry Walker is the man that Omar Moreno, Harry the Hat, he's the man that Omar credits. He shortened his swing, cut his bat size to 34, and Moreno and Walker still talk, and the first pitch misses for ball.
Well, Moreno is the type of a hitter, Keith, on this Pittsburgh ball club that really is ideal, because the way he can get on, the way he can run, and the men that they have following him, you get him aboard and you're asking for a little trouble if you're the opposing pitcher or the other team.
Foley's presence in the batting order very important. He's a contact hitter. It's Harvey behind the plate, Doug Harvey, Frank Foley at first, Andy Olson second, and Eric Gregg, the third base umpire tonight. The count is 1 ball and 1 strike on the leadoff hitter, Omar Moreno. Ball is hit high in the air. It's hit deep to right field. It may be gone. It is gone. Home run, Omar Moreno. That's 8 for him this year. So Larry Christensen got a sweet one in, and Moreno parked it.
Well, Keith made the point even before the game started that with Christensen's woes, it would be a miracle if he were around at the finish, and maybe that's an augury of what's to come.
Letter high fastball in the heart of the plate. A lot of folks lose that for you.
That's very true. And it appeared he just looking for a fastball, got the big end of the bat out in front, and just hit it right out down the line.
The batter is Tim Foley, and the pitch is in for a strike. And Phil Garner, the second baseman for the Pirates, said, if I had to vote for an MVP on this Pirate ball club, I'd vote Foley. But Tim just bounced out to the shortstop Boa for the first out of the ball game.
There's Omar. His 8th home run of the season, his 51st run batted in.
It's not too bad when you got 51 RBIs and 51 stolen bases. You're looking now at Dave Parker, the motivator, the man who keeps them moving around in the clubhouse. He's got to be as good an agitator as I've seen in this generation of baseball players.
Well, he's a big guy. He doesn't let things just kind of fall asleep. He don't lull them to sleep in that clubhouse. He hops on them, and it doesn't make any difference who it is. And the big thing about Parker, too, is that he can go out and he can back it up not only with his size, but he can back it up with his ability.
That's fouled away. A 2-strike count on Dave Parker. He does say that he has been challenged, but he has trouble remembering the last time. Christensen had some heat on the fastball, but it was high. And now it's 1-2 with 1 out and 1 run across. That pitch is inside. Parker was nailed by a pickoff throw to first base on Friday night. So he's a bit ginger on the right side. Breaking pitch is inside, and now it's a full count of 3-2. Parker goes to first on the base on ball.
Over the last 5 years, this Pittsburgh team has consistently made a run for it in the late going, which bespeaks, I think, a kind of team character. And if you're close to the Pirates as human beings, you know that the character of the team is lodged in this man, Willie Stargell, one of the great veterans of the game, one of the most articulate men in the game, one of the most thoughtful, and a man for whom life is very full indeed. Much of his time devoted to trying to ameliorate problems of sickle cell anemia in this country. He's a remarkable person.
He's a remarkable athlete and one of the few players in the National League that Gary Maddox backs up for. Maddox plays probably the shallowest center field position defensively, but when Stargell comes up and Parker running, the ball punched to left. Drops for a base hit. Parker turns, goes to third. So you've got two mountain of men at the corners for Pittsburgh. Dave Parker at third and Willie Stargell at first.
Now that was on the hit and run as Stargell just trying to fight that ball off of him inside, but he's strong enough to do just that. And Parker goes to third easily. The big thing about Chuck Tanner, and if you're playing against these Pirates, you've got to realize that really no lead is insurmountable. That was evident last Saturday when they had an 8-0 lead. The Phillies did, and the Pirates came back and ended up with 14 before it was all over and beat them. You hate to see him if you're on that Philadelphia side. You hate to see Pittsburgh start rolling early.
John Milner hits it a mile high into right center field. Bake McBride coming over, makes the catch, and Dave Parker canters home with a second run of the inning for the Buccaneers. 2-0 Pittsburgh. 2 out for Bill Matlock now coming to the plate. One of the things about Chuck Tanner, there's so much enthusiasm built inside of that man that everybody's off the bench to greet the people when they've been successful on the field. Matlock at 277, and there's Mr. Charles Tanner. Stroke to right center, going to drop base hit. Maddox overcuts it off. Stargell holds at second.
You look at Matlock, who twice has been National League batting champion with the Cubs, then traded to San Francisco, then coming over here. What a 10 strike for the Pirates to pick up. And now, as he's lodged in that lineup, surrounded by nothing but good hitters, I wouldn't be surprised in the years to come to see him pick up still another batting championship.
Ed Ott, who had a grand slam home run off the scoreboard on Saturday, and it was the big blow that carried the Pirates to the victory. Two men have hit that scoreboard out in right center field for grand slam home runs. George Foster, I believe it was 1974, and Ed Ott last Saturday.
Danny Ozark, the manager of the Phillies, having his troubles.
Christensen changes speeds, and he's out in front, 2 strikes.
Having his troubles on the field, Keith, and off the field. The fans on him, and the press, too.
There is already activity in the Philadelphia bullpen with Kevin Sauché up throwing, left-hander. Pitch is inside to go 1-2 with 2 out and 2 on and 2 in.
The injuries have been one thing, but the pitching of the Phillies has been another as you look at the action in the bullpen that Keith mentioned.
That pitch is outside. It's 2-2.
I stated at the top of the telecast that the Phillies have the worst earned run average among all the pitching units in the league.
The 2-2 pitch. Ott swings, hits it to right field. McBride goes back to the track, pulls it down, and the inning is over. But it's a profitable first inning for Pittsburgh. Pirates jump out to a 2-0 lead. The Phillies are coming up.
Now tonight's lineup for the Phillies. Leading off is Bake McBride, hitting at 270. He's followed by the steady-going shortstop Larry Bowa at 250. Then comes Pete Rose. He's at 315. When does he ever hit less? Mike Schmidt at 271 is next. A little injured tonight. 39 home runs, 88 RBIs. Then Greg Luzinski, who's only at 257, 16 homers, 61 RBI, 64. Gary Maddox next at 286, 11 homers. Bob Boone at 302. He's injured. Keith told you about the damaged finger. Then comes Manny Trio at 257. Finally, Larry Christensen, the pitcher. He can hit. He's 9 for 22.
Defensively, John Milner is playing left field tonight. Bill Robinson has a little sore shoulder. Center field, the flyer, Omar Moreno. He'll climb the wall for you. Over in right field, Dave Parker, one of the great arms in all of baseball. Inside, Bill Matlock is playing at third. And over at shortstop, Tim Foley, who's had a marvelous season with the Pirates. Bill Garner is at second base. And Willie Stargell is at first, where he's been for so long. Ed Ott is doing the catching tonight. And on the mound, it is Jim Bibby with a record of 8-2, his 7th full season in the majors. He's primarily a starter, but he's spent a lot of time already this year helping out from the pen, especially in long relief. He pitches to Bake McBride, and it's ball 1. Bake McBride with 10 triples already this year. The repertoire for Jim Bibby is slider, fastball, and curve. He changes off his slider. He'll try an occasional forkball. He's been more consistent with his breaking pitches over the last couple of years, but he throws heat that time, and he's high with it, and he wants a new baseball.
Now you watch Bibby. He'll work off that first base side of the rubber. And reasoning is just as far as kind of psychological to him. He was getting the balls outside to left-hand hitters, missing away inside to right-hand hitters when he stood anywhere else on the rubber. One of the few you see working off that first base side.
It is now 2-1. Yes, he is the brother of Henry Bibby, who played at UCLA basketball and gone on to play in the NBA. There's the position Don was talking about, where he stands, as you look at it, on the extreme right side, or the side of the rubber toward first base. Billy DeMars coaching at third. Tony Taylor coaching at first for the Phillies. And the 2-1 pitch is inside. 3-1.
The big thing about Bibby throughout his major league career has been the control. And, well, I'll tell you, when he gets his control down, when he's right that particular day or night, he can be awfully tough, and he's done a fine job for Pittsburgh with an 8-2 record.
Pitch is just low. And the leadoff man for the Phillies walks to first base. And the leadoff man for the Phillies can run. He's stolen 21 bases. Larry Bowa now.
Took a lot of years for this young man to get the recognition he deserved, but it's come to him in the last 2 years.
He's playing with a cracked right thumb that's still swollen. But there's a lot of character in this fellow. He is a competitor. He's a gamer. McBride off first. Rose on deck. The pitch is high and outside. Stargell to the mound. McBride had a foot firmly planted on the rug. When you get that far off, you might go. They play him shallow in the outfield.
And they'll have a little chat out there. I think Willie just trying to calm Bibby down a little bit. And just tell him that you've got a couple of runs to work with as you look at the outfield. And they're very shallow for Bowa. They put on a shift for him as the left fielder Miller is shallow to the line. And then the center fielder Marino.
He's looking at a platoon right in front of him, isn't he? That many people in that tight. He has no home runs this season. McBride edging up, trying to get the foot on the carpet, and Bibby will chase him back.
And Bowa tied with Granny Hamner for the 7th spot.
All-time hit list for the Phillies. The Hamner boys, the Whiz Kids.
Bibby now struggling a little bit. Let's get the ball game underway. There's Pete Rose. Putting tar on the bat handle.
He's always there.
Well, their season ticket sales this year are up some 5,100 or something like that. Boas slid his hands up the bat handle, but did not put it down. Took the strike, 2-1. All of the off-season publicity, and the increase in ticket sales, increase in revenue from local television, Pete's salary, whatever it is, not that hard to absorb. Punch foul to the left side. They have 19,300 season tickets sold here at Philadelphia. And Billy Giles, the executive VP, very quickly points right at Rose.
They're going to come very close to that 3 million mark before it's all over.
Losing that game last night hurt him, though, sort of having it rained out, because that jacks up the average they'll have to have. It'll now be part of a twilight doubleheader on September 19, so they're going to have to average close to 36,000 for their remaining 23 games at home to reach 3 million. There goes McBride. The ball is bounced to the shortstop. McBride outruns the double play. McBride was into second by the time Foley got his hands on the ball.
And he was running with the pitch, and it was a high chopper. Timmy just going to the bag as we take a look at it one more time. And with the speed of McBride and the high chopper over the head of Bibby, why, they had no chance whatsoever. You see McBride right there, and then after that, it's getting Garner out of the way to get Boa going to first.
Pete Rose at the plate is the only man of the regular roster to play in all 118 games for Philadelphia this season. The pitch is high and outside.
Pete Rose is hitting third tonight, but throughout most of his career, he's been a leadoff hitter. Friday night against the Bucks, he got his 1,000th RBI. Not bad at all for a leadoff hitter. How many leadoff hitters in history have knocked in 1,000 runs?
None, I don't think.
I was going to say, I'd have to sit down and think about that or go grab a book.
He's been peppering the ball pretty well since the All-Star break. 349 average on the year, 315. He's only made 9 errors at a new position at first base. That's foul.
Pugnacious little face.
Now, there's a case I remember when Pete first came up to the Cincinnati Reds, and you think of that day and think of this year, and there is really a self-made ball player. It really didn't come that easy for Pete. He just was determined that he was going to make himself a major league ball player, and he's made himself a great one.
Pitch is high, and it's now 3-1 as Bibby continues to struggle here in the first inning. The Pirates scored twice to lead 2-0. McBride at second. You've got 1 out. You can see Bibby's frustrated. Three-one pitch. Fouled away, out of play.
Pirates really have everything really kind of going their way right now. They've been getting good pitching, timely hitting, good bullpen activity.
Little pop, foul ground, Madlock chasing, can't get it.
They're a tough ball club that I think back of the years and think back to year 1960 when they won the pennant, Howard, and they are seem like they're an August and September ball club. They come on strong at the end, and of course that year they couldn't do anything wrong. They'd get down a run or 2 runs in the 9th inning, and it'd be just about automatically tied, or they'd come back and score 2 or 3 to win it. They get rolling. The only thing about them, at times, as hot as they can get, sometimes they can turn around and cool off just as quickly.
3-2 pitch. Rose hits it to right field. Base hit. That'll bring McBride home. Bake turns at third. Parker's arm. Ball's on its way. Cut off. 2-1.
So Pete Rose does it again. Don was talking about the Pittsburgh team in their rivalry against the Phillies this year. The Bucks lost the first 4 games to the Phils. As you look at that line shot hit by Pete again to score, bake McBride and reduce the Pittsburgh lead to 2-1. The Bucks were posted winning the next 5 games, and they're at this present time 7-5 over the Phils on the season.
The batter is Mike Schmidt, who has 39 home runs and Bibby's breaking pitches outside. Schmidt pulled the groin muscle originally back on July 22. Running the bases, he's aggravated it 3 or 4 times. What he needs to do is just simply sit out 6 or 7 days to heal it.
This time of year, though, you can't afford that luxury when you're 7 back.
Well, they brought up John Vukovic to play third base. There's the history. Bob Skinner had an interesting comment, though, about this. He said, take this year, for example, when the Pirates were so slow to get started, had a siege of bad weather in the spring, and he says the Western teams that have the good climate get an edge early in the year because they don't get kicked around with the weather. Rose is running. Ox throws.
He's got it. That is a good point Bob Skinner made. And right here in the first inning, Rose is giving you still another lesson in why he means so much to a ball club. The ability to hit, to stay with the pitcher, to hit in the clutch, to drive in runs, and then the ability to run and steal a base and move himself into scoring position.
Now that's number 14 on the year for Pete. He's been caught 7 times. But Bibby, he's an ideal pitcher to try and run on if you've got any speed whatsoever. He's got that high leg kick, the slow delivery, and that's all a good runner has to look at.
Yeah, Pete had 3 steps on the rug before really the ball was delivered. Mike Schmidt swings and misses and strikes out. So that's 2 down.
Well, he got a high breaking pitch.
I think he swung at a ball, didn't he?
Very well could have. But I'll tell you, that high breaking pitch in the eyes of a hitter looks like a big saucer coming out there.
It really does. Like a cantaloupe. Greg Luzinski, the ball. Two to 1 ball game, and the pitch is inside. One time last week, pinch hit 4 with the bases loaded. Then last Saturday, he came out of the game in the 7th after Phil Garner hit a ball over his head. Greg Gross replaced him in the outfield. It's been a year of struggle for the Bull. Throw through, and Rose goes back into second safely. The count is 1-1 on the hitter.
The Phillies need this guy. They need his bat. And Luzinski, it appeared, maybe about the last couple of weeks or so, he might be coming out and starting to drive the ball a little bit more. Greg, quite a ways under his home run output, only 16 on the year. But he's a threat anytime he turns it loose.
The 1-1 pitch. 2-2. 1-2. I think Luzinski's trimmed off some weight too last year or so. It looks a little.
He would say, man, some of the fans have trimmed it off of him.
Yeah. He just looks leaner to me. Maybe it's because I haven't seen him in a long time.
He looks pretty big to me.
Boy, he is big.
He's a big guy.
Muscles on muscles. Much better hitter on the road. That's an interesting graphic.
Two pitch coming to Lazinski. He's gone. Phillies fight back yet one after one inning of play, 2-1. Back with more after this word from our local station.
Thursday, Laverne and Shirley brew up trouble when they uncover a spy.
So hold up. Go, huh? Lighten the load. Lighten the load. Throw down the trunk.
They're catching up.
Get rid of the Stros.
Get rid of the Stros. Good thinking, Bart. Yeah.
When nothing goes right, sometimes the most natural of partners get a little off in their timing. Even Paul Long and Don Cannon can find their finely tuned teamwork slightly off target. But when you're Pittsburgh's #1 news team, you can always pull your act together when it really counts.
Good evening. I'm Paul Long.
And I'm Don Cannon.
Pittsburgh's first choice for news. Naturally.
A nurse attacked in O'Hara Township. Details after the game.
There's the line score in the ball game after one inning of play. And we'll go to the top of the second inning now for Pittsburgh as we see other scores. Minnesota beating Boston 5-0. Chicago out 4-0 over Baltimore. Yankees 1-0 over Texas. Texas having trouble getting Willie Montañez from the Mets. There's Cubs and no score. St. Louis, Montreal, and Houston. And I have a meeting tomorrow with that young man's father. This is David Nelson, University of Delaware. That's his son. No, well, that is not his son. That is the son of the football coach at Delaware, David Raymond. Tubby Raymond's son. The Carpenter family, as Phil Garner steps in, are great fans of the athletic program at the University of Delaware. Garner hits the ball high in the air. Mike Schmidt's throw is in time, and we've got one out. Jim Bibby, the pitcher, will come to the plate now to face Larry Christensen, and Bibby 2 for 25 on the season. Then we'll go back to the top of the order. He got his first major league hit off Steve Rinko. He played his first major league game in 1972 with St. Louis. He didn't get another hit until last year. He'd been in the American League. 79, he had a 2-run home run to beat Atlanta on a 3-2 pitch. That's a long drought, isn't it?
That's a long one.
Chuck Tanner, manager of the Pirates. And Christensen is just off the plate with that pitch to make it a 1-1 count with one out and nobody aboard. Working a little quicker here in the second inning. The ball is cued down to Rose. Good play for Pete. Christensen wins the race 2 down.
That ball was hit hard, and that was a good play by Rose.
It was almost look what I found.
Just about. Bibby hits this ball hard to the right side, and Rose, that ball comes up a little bit and actually helped Pete's out. Now he gives him a good feed to Christensen going to the bag.
Made the point a moment ago. It only made 9 errors at first base, which is a new position for it. Now it's Omar Moreno who hit a home run to lead the ball game for Pittsburgh, coming to the plate. I got to think, as he gets more confidence, and if he can continue to hit in that 270, 300 range, he's got to be the next candidate to steal 100 bases.
There's a very good chance he can really motor.
But with all these hammer throwers they've got in the Pittsburgh roster, you don't really need to run that much. Has a strike. is 1-1. Stolen base leaders in the National League reflected there. Moreno leading with 51. Outside to make it 2-1. Al Monchak coaching at first base for Pittsburgh, and Joe Lynette down at third. Bob Boone can't hold on to the foul tip, and I am sure that he doesn't want to be sticking that right hand in there too close, not with a fractured finger.
Danny Ozark has nothing but high praise for Booney, sitting on the bench prior to the game talking with Tim Foley. He does too. They had the fathers and the children game out here prior to the game tonight. He said, boy, he said, I'll tell you, he said, that man, he can block the plate as well as anybody. Of course, Pittsburgh's got a pretty good one over there too, and Ed Ott. He'll tangle it up with you for a while.
The count is now 3-2. Had a big play in the ball game on Saturday, that big comeback win. He blocked the plate on Gary Maddox's effort to score. That pitch is hit high on the left side, and drifting back toward the crowd, Schmidt goes to the railing and cannot reach it.
You know, it's something that just never fails. You have Schmidt with that bad leg, and there's always things in the course of a game when you're out there playing hurt that there's always a tester somewhere.
The center fielder for Philadelphia playing Moreno over in left center, despite the fact he's a left-handed hitter. They don't figure him to pull. He has no history of being a pull hitter except for that home run he hit back in the first inning. He sure pulled that.
Well, he got that pitch from the middle of the plate in that he hit the home run on. You can watch Boone as he shifts. And actually, in a case like this, it appears that they're just going to play Moreno away and pitch him away. And if you make the mistake and make it from anywhere from the middle of the plate in, that is strictly a pitcher's mistake.
Struck him out. So Christensen gets the Pirates in order in the top of the second inning. After 1.5, 2-1 Pirates.
Full sports schedule coming up on ABC this Saturday. The North American Soccer League playoffs, Chicago at Fort Lauderdale. You see the times. Then ABC's Wide World of Sports, the WBC World Light Heavyweight Championship. Matt Muhammad going in defense of his crown. And then Saturday night, we'll be in Dallas, the Houston Oilers against the Dallas Cowboys. That Matt Muhammad can hit. You remember what he did to Marvin Johnson, Keith, in Indianapolis?
I thought one of the classic fights in that division.
His name then was Matt Franklin, just for those of you who might not have noted the name change. Tremendous fight.
Gary Maddox, Bob Boone, and Manny Trio. He goes against John Conte.
Slick boxer.
Ball is hit high in the air to center field. Moreno. One out.
That's in Atlantic City, isn't it?
I think so.
You're not doing it.
I'm sort of at the point, if I'm not doing it, don't worry about it.
Jim Rice, by the way, has just hit his 31st home run, the time with teammate Fred Lynn for the American League lead. That's in the fourth inning up at Fenway. The Red Sox trail Minnesota 5-1. Remember, the Twins erupted for 5 in the first. Nettles has hit his 15th home run of the year. That ball fouled off. Yankees leading Texas 1-0.
Bob Boone, you see that tape on that right hand, on the third finger of his right hand? That's a fractured finger.
But as you noted, he says it doesn't hurt him.
Nope. Pitches inside to make it 1-1. I guarantee you, though, if he gets banged on a play at the plate or takes a foul tip on it, you'll see blue spots for a while.
There again, you saw the small bandage. Incidentally, for all of you folks who follow baseball and who know that we like to cover all of the sports scene, we'll keep you posted on Lou Brock, who's only 2 hits shy of the 3,000 mark in his career, and he is playing tonight. St. Louis, later time zone, hasn't started yet.
Boone hits it to left field, in the hole, base hit.
So the damaged finger didn't hurt him there.
Now to the plate comes Manny Trio, the second baseman, at 257 on the year. Came over from the Cubs.
Since you're not doing that fight Saturday, why don't you come down to Dallas? Join us for the championship of Texas.
Because I'm just getting back from Rapid City in time to do the preseason football show from Los Angeles.
Where were you yesterday?
Las Vegas.
I was in Seattle. How do you feel tonight?
Rained in Las Vegas yesterday. You had a nice day in Seattle. But I had the quicker event.
Yes, you did. It was a great night for the red eye.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
That's why they hung 3 harnesses up here for all 3 of us to keep us upright till the ball game's over. Manny Trio now takes that pitch outside to make it 2 balls and no strikes.
Keeping you up to the minute on the scores in Baltimore. The Chicago White Sox lead the Birds 5-0 in the 5th. Starter Scott McGregor out for the Birds, replaced by Sammy Stewart. Steve Trout, good-looking young pitcher, by the way, Don. Steve Trout.
Very good-looking young pitcher.
Dizzy's boy.
That's right, pitching for the White Sox.
Ball is hit high in the air to left center field and hit deep. Moreno going back. Waves off. Milner makes the catch on the warning track. Boy, that fella can cover a lot of territory.
Well, Manny got good wood on it, but hit it to Death Valley, and that Moreno really glides.
And that's one of the great assets about the Pittsburgh Pirates. They say on any championship club you should be strong up the middle, and they are just that. They've got a fine double play combination in Garner and Foley. As you take one more look at this pitch, Trio hit it well, but he hit it high. And of course in center field you got a man that can just almost outrun it in Omar Moreno.
Christensen the pitcher now. Larry is 9 for 22. Batting cage. He hit the ball to left and right center off the wall. He does have some power.
Yes, he has good power.
Big swing, strike 1.
As long as he stays off bicycles, he's all right.
He's going to have an operation on that collarbone this winter.
He was showing that to me prior to the game. That's kind of an ugly looking thing.
Another strike.
I tell you, many athletes are not good on bicycles. I was with Keith once at Rotunda, Florida, when number 40, Dick Anderson, then of the Miami Dolphins, and then the best strong safety in the NFL, tied in with Jim McMillan, then a great basketball player.
Christensen strikes out. The inning is over. They strand Boone at first, and after 2 innings of play, it's Pittsburgh 2, Philadelphia 1 at Vet Stadium in Philadelphia. We'll move to the top of the 3rd inning now. Pittsburgh will send to the plate Tim Foley, Dave Parker, and Willie Stargell in that order. Foley, who's been given a great deal of credit lately for helping meld the Pittsburgh infield, says, however, he doesn't feel he's playing any different now. He's just with a combination of people, circumstances. He's not a fancy ball player, but he's just a good, solid performer.
You're exactly right. His skills are the subtle skills, called strike, as you saw, and surrounded by a bevy of good ball players. As you look at scores, those subtle skills come into prominence.
There's a base hit in the hole to left field. Yep, they play on a rug here in Philadelphia, and that one went skittering right on through. So the leadoff man is aboard for Pittsburgh, and Dave Parker comes to the plate.
Yankees lead Texas 2-0. If you got a quick gander at the scores as they were flashed. Don, I really don't understand the decline of that Texas team and what happened. Well, I know Matlock got hurt, of course, but there still should be more pitching there than they've shown.
And the pitching has kind of gone just a little sour for him. And, of course, Brad Corbett trying everything within his power to try and produce a winner down there. As they just picked up, as you said before, Willie Montanez.
Parker swings and misses.
And Richie Zisk said, why another left-handed hitting first baseman?
Well, they've got Pat Putnam over there, who's doing a fine job. He's doing everything you could possibly ask of anybody. But I just kind of think, and I can't help but talk about the weather down there at Texas. That's got to be able to catch up with you somewhere along the line. It gets awfully warm.
If you play outdoors.
If you play outdoors, that's right. And they do. They do not have the luxury of the Astrodome as their counterparts down in Houston do.
One strike pitch to Parker. 1-1. I sort of thought maybe they were putting something else together. Trying to get a pitcher. That's what they need. Work away.
Well, they do need pitching. But everybody needs pitching.
Yeah, who does? Parker fouls it off.
I was talking to Freddie McAllister, the special assignment scout for the St. Louis Cardinals the other day at Anaheim Stadium. He says when they get around and talk to all the scouts from all the ball clubs, it's all the same story. It's a parting line. We need pitching. Where can we get pitching?
Kansas City brought a youngster up from the farm and got a win out of it.
They're really making a move.
Pitch is high. 2-2.
Very slowly but surely they're making their move.
They know how to win. That's a professional baseball team.
Parker. Big swing and a foul tip, and Booney can't hang on. Of course, this Pittsburgh ball club, we noted at the very beginning, carries 11 pitchers, 8 of them capable of making starts for you. With Jacoby, Jackson, and Coleman in the pen, strictly for the pen. Romo, of course, is working out of the pen, but generally works in long relief. But he has proven capable of making starts as Parker fouls it off again. Pittsburgh's pitching staff, they call Sparky Anderson the hook when he was over at Cincinnati, but this Pittsburgh staff has only produced 15 complete ball games this season.
There's one thing about Chuck Tanner, and he's that kind of a manager. If somebody gets in trouble, as you look at Willie Stargell, he goes and gets him.
Again fouled off. So Parker hangs on.
And when you've got the guys, as you just mentioned, Keith, down in the bullpen who are capable of coming on and putting out a little bit of a fire, as you look at Christensen.
Doesn't he look a little like Larry Sherry?
It does a little bit.
Huh?
A little bit. There's no need to really leave him in there and try and work out of a jam.
Full count now. 3-2 for Dave Parker.
Keep expecting Dave Parker to go on a tear at any time. It hasn't happened yet this season.
Foul back. Foley will go back to first base. Running with a pitch.
Such a beautifully fluid athlete Mr. Parker is. Tim Foley going back to first. Pete Rose holding the bag.
43 pitches so far for Christensen here in the third inning. So he's throwing a lot. He's got a suspect shoulder. And a 3-7 record. Foley going again. Parker holds up on it. And it's called ball 4. Willie Stargell coming up before the ball game tonight. Howard Cosell talked to Willie.
Willie, I think the one key question in your case is, how does a veteran of so many years keep his incentive, his pride, his self-respect, and keep producing with the degree of efficiency that you do?
Well, Howard, number one, I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm around a bunch of guys that I truly enjoy being with. The attitude is to work hard and have fun. Our careers are very short. We don't know just how long it's going to last, but since we're fortunate enough to be doing what we've always wanted to do, grab that gusto and run with it each and every day. And each day is an exciting and thrilling day, and you have to feel if you're on the freeway, you got to drive. And when you get on the ball field, you got to produce. And this is our attitude. We're not fancy, but we're real. So we'll take it from there and have as much fun for as long as I can.
A 1-1 count to Big Wilbur, and it's 2-1.
What was it Stargell once said, Keith? Ability gets you here, mentality keeps you here. Thoughtful fella.
Yep. Oh, that stuns Bob Boone.
Booney checking that mass just to make sure it's all in one piece.
Yeah,
he took a pretty good shot.
Sure did.
Montreal and Houston are at 0-0 in the third. That's a big series.
High to the left side. Luzinski. Stargell, fly ball to left field.
So John Milner comes up. The hammer.
Second half of the season, he's been starting primarily against right-handers. Bill Robinson coming in late innings if there's a left-hander around. But
look at him closely up there, Don, and he'll remind you of a left-handed Hank Aaron. And that's what the Mets thought he would become, or something proximate thereto, when they first got him, brought him up.
He's fit into this scheme very nicely over here in Pittsburgh.
Jerked a home grand slam home run off Tug McGraw.
That's right.
That's becoming a habit. Tug has given up 4 this year.
Hot shot came off Tug. That's fouled at the plate. The others were Billy Buckner and Terry Kennedy, and all 4 of those grand slam home runs off the left-handed reliever hit by left-handed batters.
Well, Milner, in his career against Christensen, as you can see, has done very well. 13 for 33, 394 with 2 home runs. Got great wrists.
Up high. Your count is 1-2 now. Foley at second base. Parker at first. 1 out. 2-1. Pittsburgh. Top of the third inning. Sauché is up in the bullpen again for Philadelphia. Outside.
Slowly paced ball game because the pitchers, both of them, struggling. Pitching uneven. Battling themselves.
Yeah, they're having a little trouble finding home plate.
Two pitch. Milner walking away, kind of wishing he'd have jumped at it, but the pitch was called low for ball 3.
Going to be interesting right now as you look at Danny Ozark and Tony Taylor over in the Philadelphia dugout. Interesting to see if Tanner turns him loose.
At 3-2. He does. He hits it deep to right. It's gone. Home run, Milner. Number 15. And now 47 runs batted in for John Milner.
There's a case of just getting behind on the count, being too fine, and then all of a sudden having to come in with a pitch. And it was a fastball just up over the plate, and Milner, he got it all. That got out of here in a hurry. There's a fastball right there.
He can make that 48 runs batted in because it was Milner who delivered Parker back in the first inning. See the ball caroming off the cushion underneath the scoreboard, and the batter now is Bill Madlock. Christensen getting a strike on Madlock. 5 runs on 5 hits. And Christensen now is getting up close to 60 pitches here in the top of the third inning. Boa.
There's John Milner.
2 out now, and Ed Ott comes to the plate.
2 former Mets having a rebirth here at Pittsburgh. And Foley, whom we've spoken about ever since the contest started, and John Milner.
The Ed Ott fan club is in the ballpark tonight. 293 members from Factoryville, Pennsylvania. And what famous baseball player was born in Factoryville, Pennsylvania, Howard?
Factoryville, Pennsylvania. Grover Cleveland Alexander.
You're close.
Christy Mathis.
You're right.
Okay. Don't get around with me. Remember the fadeaway?
2-strike count now on Ed. That pitch is just off the corner. Hit. Pass throws to right field. And Ed Ott is aboard. And if that's a hit, it's the first one he's ever had off Larry Christensen. It is a base hit.
And you can hear the unrest of the Philadelphia fans, which is a kind way to put it.
Well, I think this kind of a charity hit right here. That ball stayed down on Rose. He didn't have to go that far. And it just never came up.
Bill Garner, the second baseman. And the pitch is outside. Christensen is able to throw the ball with some speed in it, heat on it, but he hasn't been able to get that hot stuff over the plate. And they've been sitting back waiting him out.
You saw just now what Phil Garner's been hitting since the All-Star break. Teaming up with Tim Foley, these two have been simply amazing. He's gotten key home runs, one-ball games. Phil Garner is what they call in baseball a game winner. Buckner of the Cubs is a game winner. The averages can be totally deceptive. Toby Harrah for Cleveland during that great surge has been a game winner. You know what I mean, Dunn?
I know exactly what you mean, Howard. They're the kind that's always coming up with that big hit.
Pops him up on the right side. Second baseman Trio makes the catch, and the side is retired. But 3 big runs found across for the Pirates, and after 2.5 they lead 5-1. 5-1 lead for the Pittsburgh Pirates. This telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball, intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Major League Baseball is prohibited. Next week, it'll be Texas at Baltimore or Montreal at Cincinnati. Check your local listing.
Right now, Baltimore trailing the Pale Hose 5-0 in the 6th inning, and the Texas Rangers behind Ferguson Jenkins trailing the Yankees 2-0 in the 5th inning because of home runs by Nettles and Gamble. In Milwaukee, Lezcano has hit his 19th home run. Brewers lead the Royals 1-0 in the 3rd.
Blake McBride, Larry Boa, Pete Rose for Philadelphia. Bottom of the 3rd inning. Bakes.
Good location on that pitch, Don.
He had Bake looking to the outside.
That's right. Good location.
When Bibby's got the location, well, he can be awfully tough. But the biggest thing about him is that he's a little erratic at times.
Punch to left. Line drive hangs up, and the catch is made by Milner. 1 out.
He is having a good year, and one of the reasons has to be a little kitten, Harvey Haddix. Look at those scores. Minnesota 5-1, the White Sox 5-0, Yanks 2-0. All scores that we've given you as we try to keep you abreast of the pennant races. Cubs St. Louis 0-0. They're in the fourth now. Montreal at Houston. Tied.
I think if you watch Bibby throughout the course of a year, a couple of years, things like that, you find that he'll kind of fight himself a little bit at the very start. He was doing that tonight. But then if he gets in there, is able to stay in there for a while, all of a sudden he gets that groove down. And then look out, he can be tough.
Point I was going to make about the kitten, Harvey Haddix. He's with the Bucks now, the pitching coach.
Count is 1-1.
And he also used to be with Cleveland when Bibby was at Cleveland. So he goes back with them, and he's improved his delivery considerably through the years.
Starger will do it himself. 2 out. Now it'll be Pete Rose who has knocked in Philadelphia's only run in the ball game.
Well, he was pretty good on a bicycle in the Superstars, Pete was.
I think one of the funniest things I ever saw, glad that he wasn't hurt, but Floyd Patterson was on the bicycle race. He got in the back stretch. There's nobody 50, 75 yards from him. He just flat fell off. He got it going off the track, and he got on the grass, and when they tried to get back out on the track again, and bang.
Lou Brock has just singled his first time up. He's at 29.99 in base hits on the career.
He had quite a weekend in St. Louis.
Yes, he did. And he's a beautiful guy. Incidentally, wife recently gave birth to their fourth child, Andrew Christopher. I saw him in Chicago a week ago Saturday. And Lou was talking more about the baby than he was about the 3,000 hits.
Pete's a little late on that fastball. 2-1.
There's Christensen. He no longer looks like Larry Sherry, not with 5 runs against him. Looks more like Drysdale.
Hit to left, base hit for Rose. So Pete's 2 for 2. Big turn at first and hangs on.
You give him a national television for him, and Pete knows what to do, how to do it.
And that's what makes Pete Rose such a great hitter, because there's really not a position or a field that you can try and pitch Rose to. He sprays the ball all over. And I've always contended, just my own theory, that a guy that hits the ball where it's pitched, there are sure a lot tougher outs than the great big guy standing up there that might hit it out of the ballpark. But Rose is that kind of a hitter that you pitch him away, he'll go away. You pitch him inside, he'll turn on it, and he'll pull it. He'll go back up the middle.
He had a stolen base back in the first inning. Mike Schmidt at the plate. Mike struck out swinging first time. 39 home runs. Davis' fastball is tight.
There you see the American League home run leaders, Schmidt and Kingman, battling it out. What a year Winfield's been having. Oh,
that's the American League. You got a scoop.
Did I say the American League?
No, the graphic did.
Oh, I didn't think I did. Although nobody's perfect.
You're right. Mike Schmidt's one of the guys around town who was happy to have Pete Rose come, because he came with such hoopla and fanfare that they left Mike alone this spring. He had a peaceable spring. Oof. Almost nipped him with that one. 2 balls and no strikes. Well, clearly now, Bibby's trying to work him inside. See the replay on it.
He throws hard enough to where he can work you inside, and he just about nipped him right there. You don't like to get those power hitters. You like to try and keep the ball, if you can, try and keep it in on them at times where they don't get that full arm extension.
High pop. Going to be out of play, I think. Coming back, it is. Burned some fingers in the crowd. We're in the bottom of the third inning. The Pirates scored 2 in the first. The Phillies came back with 1. Pirates got 3 more in the top of the third. And the Phillies now with 2 out have Pete Rose at first base, Mike Schmidt at the plate, and Greg Luzinski on deck.
Well, the organist here trying to whip up a little enthusiasm among the folks.
Bibby, who grew up in Franklinton, North Carolina. That's down near Raleigh.
What a shooter his brother was.
Is.
That's it. I always thought our director, Chet Forty, was the best set shot I had ever seen. But I'd like to see him have to go against Bibby.
The 2-1 pitch. High and away. Now it's 3-1. If it's in the area, grab a hard hat.
Well, when he's swinging the bat good, he's got such quick hand. That bat really comes through.
Hits it high, too high. Dave Parker settles under it. And the inning is over. And the Phillies strand their third base runner of the night. And after 3 complete, 5-1 Pittsburgh.
For Pittsburgh.
Pete Rose at his defensive position at first base. Tonight before the ball game, among the players that Howard talked to, Pete. Let's listen.
Pete, are they beginning to get on you because the Phils have been languishing?
Not really, Howard. I think if you analyze the injury situation we've had here at Philadelphia, it's phenomenal. It's the first time in my 17-year career I ever remember 5 broken bones in one season. You know, pulled muscles and getting hit with pitches and missing a couple games are part of the game of baseball. But when you break 5 bones in the course of 1 year, it's hard to overcome that. And fortunately, we're only 7 games out with all the injuries we've had. Most teams would be looking at 15 or 20 games out, but we still have a shot at it. We have to win the night's game, be 6 out, and 44 games to play, and there's a lot of divisional play left. And I don't think the fans are really looking for a scapegoat here in Philadelphia
Yet.
But notice he said we must win tonight.
Yep, it's a big ball game for them. Instead of being 6 down, unless they can turn it around, they're going to be 8 down. Jim Bibby is at the plate.
Problem is, Keith, as you well know, they don't have just one team to catch. They've got 4 ahead of them.
Right. Christensen goes outside.
Now that's what makes it tough. And all of a sudden you got to start leapfrogging over 3 and 4 clubs. Well, that gets to be very, very tough.
They're going to be banging into him in September, too. Bibby fouls it away upstairs with this one. Kind of fun to tell you that Bibby's high school graduating class at Franklinton, North Carolina, had the robust sum of 26 graduates in it. So you see, country folks can still make it. Outside.
So it's a full count. Manager Ozark's hands are really tied. The pitching just isn't there. He's had to stay with Christensen, who's given up 5 runs in 3 innings. He did strike out Bibby. But even then, during that last rally, there was nobody working in the bullpen because the bullpen hasn't been coming. His concern about Tug McGraw.
Soche has been up and down. Looks like he's back up out there.
Soche. You say that so nice.
Omar is 1 for 2. Moreno with a leadoff home run, struck out swinging second time. Christensen with his fastball is again out of the strike zone high.
You were talking a while ago about the Phillies jumping over different clubs. Of course, the Cardinals starting tonight 6.5 out, Chicago 4, and Montreal a game and a half. And you know, say Pittsburgh should falter just a little bit, you can just throw all those names up in the air, and any one of them, if they get hot, liable to win it.
Foul is in the crowd. You hear rumblings out of Montreal, though, now that things are not as rosy as they were when we were there.
Well, they did lose the 5-game lead they once held, but they're still a good young ball club, and I wouldn't count them out.
Moreno going around to make it 2-2.
When you talk, Keith, about the Philadelphia Phillies going head-to-head in September with the people that they have to beat in the East, I think that there is a story between these two ball clubs. Pittsburgh, against the Eastern Division competition, they're 10 over 500. They're 36-26. While the Phillies are under 500, they've won 28 while losing 34 against people they have to beat.
And if you analyze the schedule,
ball is hit out in the hole in left center, and Maddox on his horse. Look at him run.
if you analyze the schedule, pursue what Don was saying, look at this again.
Well, here's a case of two center fielders that cover a lot of ground. Moreno, who hit the ball, and the center fielder, Gary Maddox, and he just flat out runs it.
This month alone, Phil's 6 games against Houston, 5 against Cincinnati, the top 2 teams in the National League West. In September, they go primarily against teams ahead of them in the East. 6 against Montreal and Chicago, 5 against the Cardinals and the Bucks.
There's a man that has to figure prominently for Pittsburgh down the road, John Candelaria. He's in a car wreck a week or so ago and scared everybody to death. He's got out with a sore back, but he's all right. Foley loops a single to left.
As long as he stays off bikes.
And now we'll come up with Dave Parker. And going into tonight's ball game, we noted earlier that Pittsburgh's record 33-24 on the road is the best in the National League, but at the end of this month, in one 17-day stretch, they have only 1 day at home. That's a doubleheader September 3rd with the Phillies following a road game in San Francisco. So if they're going to wobble, that might be the time. I see no signs of any wobble in this bunch, though. Parker takes outside. Checks it. 1-1.
And they appeal, and the third base umpire, Eric Gregg, gives it a strike call.
That's fair swing.
Yeah, I didn't see any question.
With a 37-ounce and 37-inch bat, how can you stop it?
That was
Holy
ridiculous.
brakes.
Oh, I'll tell you, that was really ridiculous. There's the big leagues. The fans booing Christensen, and you can understand it in this case.
Al Foley, he just started running, and Christensen is holding the ball. He hasn't delivered yet, and he goes to second base without a slide.
That's careless baseball.
Just a mental lapse out there. At times you try not to let those things happen, but they will happen, and it does make you feel awful silly.
Over the course of 9 innings, little things like that can add up on you. If Parker singles, then you figure that Foley scores. It's another run. He would not have done it from first.
You know, they talk about the complete ball player, and you listen to people talk about Dave Parker, and his name always comes up when that one word is mentioned, a complete ball player. And who is it? They say, well, what about Dave Parker?
The 2-1 pitch to the big guy is high and away, 3-1. I'll tell you one thing, Christensen's going to hit 100 pitches by the time he gets through 5 innings. The rate he's going.
Astros picked up 2 in the 4th. They lead the Expos 2-0. He wanted that high one down.
Christensen glad to get that one back. He's thrown 83 pitches now. The count is 3-2 on Parker.
It's a lot of pitches.
Strike called on the outside corner. So he got Dave Parker looking, and the inning is over. And the score is Pittsburgh 5, Philadelphia 1.
That is not Rita Moreno, who has just been nominated for an Emmy, the brilliant performer. That is, in fact, Mrs. Pete Rose, taking care of Greg Luzinski's kid. Today, Father's Children Night here, and they had a ball game involving the kids and the fathers. The kids won it overwhelmingly, I think 22-0.
Good. Luzinski, Maddox, and Boone for the Phillies in the bottom of the 4th inning. And Bibby gets Luzinski swinging for strike 1. Greg struck out looking his first time up. There's the famous bull ring. Greg has provided for youngsters, much in the manner of Dave Winfield at San Diego. They appeal, and there's no call and no reaction from the first base umpire, Hank Pulley. Greg buying seats, making them available to young people who might not be able to afford to come to baseball games. 1-1 pitch to the big guy. There's a strike. Maybe getting tougher as the night wears on. Oh, wow. He hit him with a hard fastball.
Luzinski hadn't even rubbed it.
No, but I'll tell you, he whacked him. Bibby is 6'5" and can throw a hummer.
He's a big guy. I'll tell you, there's two big guys facing each other. That fastball in on Luzinski, and he just all of a sudden says, I'm going to get it, so I may as well double up. He still hasn't rubbed. When you're that big, they don't hurt that much.
Yeah. Spoken like a
Makes you harder or tougher to tote you off the field.
Spoken like a pitcher, especially the kind you were.
No.
Gary Maddox. Leadoff batter, Luzinski off first. Maddox howls it back.
I used to laugh at early win. Of course, Gus up now broadcasting with the Toronto Blue Jays. He said there's only one way to get a hitter's attention. You have to get him to lie down first, and they'll listen to you.
Oh,
he practiced it, too. That's a high pop to the infield. The shortstop Foley calling. 1 out.
The 3 best practitioners of that particular science that I can remember were Early Wynn, Sal the Barber Maglin, and the gentleman in our booth, Keith, Don Drysdale, number 53.
St. Louis getting on the board against the Cubs, and we noted that Houston has taken a 2-0 lead over Montreal. Here's Bob Boone now. 1 out.
White Sox lead the Birds 6-0 now in the 7th inning.
Bends him back. Eddard goes to the mound. When that Sizzler's coming up there, boy, I tell you, you saw Luzinski get plunked. It's pretty easy.
Plunked? An ordinary man would have been shattered.
If it had been in his ribs, he wouldn't have fallen out till he got to third.
Phillies are down by 4. Need runs here against Bibby, whose history is to get tougher as the night goes on. But now he's struggling much as he did back in the first inning. There's a strike.
Now, the big thing if you're pitching against either of these ball clubs, and you've got to try and keep men off base, because You look at this pitch one more time. It's a breaking pitch. Doug Harvey, I think one of the fine umpires.
That means, loosely translated, ladies and gentlemen, that he'll give a pitcher an edge occasionally, I would presume. Boone hits the ball to the third baseman. Over to second, one, back to first, double play, and that time you could see that Bob Boone's broken finger hurt him. He winced visibly. After 4, it is 5-1 Pittsburgh. We move to the top of the 5th inning with the Buccaneers sending up to the plate. We call them Buccaneers because they're obviously the Pirates, and the two words are synonymous. And who else but this man do you think of when you think of the Pittsburgh Pirates? Willie Stargell. Here's Don Drysdale now to call it for you.
All right, Keith, it'll be Stargell, Milner, and Madlock in that order, with Pittsburgh on top by a score of 5-1. Bucks with 2 runs in the first inning. The Phillies came back and scored 1. And then Pittsburgh with 3 more in the third, thanks to John Milner's 3-run home run. Milner has driven in 4. Stargell 1 for 2. He singled his first time at bat and fly to left. Boy, this guy can hit him as far as anybody.
He drew a lot of oohs and ahs during batting practice, Don. Just part of the local scenery when he belted 5 in a row into the upper deck.
I'll never forget an exhibition he put on in the All-Star game that played in the middle 60s or so in Shea Stadium in New York. And he just tattooed that scoreboard.
He loved Shea Stadium anyway. Hit the first home run ever hit there when they opened the ballpark in '64.
Well, he's one of the, I don't know if it's 1 or 2 that have hit one completely out of Dodger Stadium. Oh, 2 to Stargell. Foul away. The count remains. No balls and 2 strikes. Well, he's starting tonight at 298. As you mentioned earlier, Keith and Howard, he's having a fine year. 22 home runs and 56 RBIs.
Rangers have tied the Yankees at 2-2 in the 7th.
Out of play. The count remains at a ball and 2 strikes. Now the Rangers getting down in a precarious position too. They're getting in a spot where same as these Phillies, where they just can't afford to lose that many more. Texas starting tonight 6.5 back. 2-2 the count. Center field playable. There's Maddox. And out number 1. Good crowd here tonight on this Monday night at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. He said yesterday they were rained out, actually rained out last night. But they have been drawing well, and in hopes to see their Phillies try and rejuvenate themselves just a little bit and come back and make a run at it. Here's Milner. He's 1 for 1, a home run, a sacrifice fly, and 4 RBIs tonight.
Those of you tuned in late, Lou Brock has come to bat once tonight, single. So the career hits 2.999.
Hit well to straightaway center field, but it's playable. Deepest part of the ballpark, and Maddox runs it down. Now Maddox takes care of Stargell and Milner, and we go to Bill Madlock.
Told you, Milner has great wrist, tremendous power in all directions.
He can hit the ball a long way. And you talk about the Pirates as right now they take the lead coming into tonight's game in the National League East, a 1.5 games over the Montreal Expos. They're going to have some fun at the end of the season. Their final 2 weeks of the season, they have 6 games with Montreal. They have 6 games against Chicago and 2 with these Philadelphia Phillies. But that's the way you'd like it. If you're trying to catch somebody, you'd rather have to play him face to face, and if you're going to be out in front, why, there's a good chance to bury him right there.
I don't believe you.
Yes, sir. That's the truth.
That's the way you'd like it.
That's the way you like it.
When you were closing out the 56th season.
That's popped right side. There's Manny Trio. And that is out number 3. So the Pirates are gone 1, 2, 3 for the second time tonight. And after 4.5, it's Pittsburgh 5 and Philadelphia 1. There at Veterans Stadium. And he can swing a mean bat.
They need him in the lineup tonight based on the events thus far.
You move across, you pan to the Liberty Bell, and you know, Bibby, kind of an interesting case, Howard, how he came to be property of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was signed in the reentry draft. That was in 1978, March of 78, after an arbitrator had ruled him a free agent because the Cleveland Indians were late in paying a performance bonus in 1977. And he says he is just tickled to death to be here. Signed a 6-year contract with Pittsburgh.
Little security there.
Here's Manny Trio to lead it off for the Phillies.
Red Sox have scored 4 in the 7th. Fred Lynn's 32nd homer. Boston, Minnesota, 5-5. That's a pretty good home run chase in the American League.
Sure is.
Guys that can win it.
Well, Rice and Lynn are tied at 31. Rice hit his 31st tonight. Red Sox got to be playing a little scoreboard too tonight as Baltimore was getting beat by Chicago.
6-0 there in the 8th. Houston now leading 4-0 over Montreal. Yanks in Texas tied at 2. Detroit at California. Toronto, Oakland, latest starts.
Fly ball right field. Parker has all the room in the world. Captures that one out, number 1.
Don was telling you that's the way you like it. The end of the season, you'd like to go against the tough teams. You should have seen them the final days of the 56th season. They had a win. The Brooklyn Dodgers. Milwaukee had a lose. And the Brooklyn Dodgers were playing the last place Pittsburgh Pirates, a doubleheader.
This is Timmy McCarver. He will pinch hit for Christensen, so Danny Ozark will go to the bullpen.
And Don said, this is the way you like it.
I tell you, they were tough. I remember one night, I think we got fogged out. And that's what brought the doubleheader about. And Bobby Bragan was going to start Bob Friend in one of the games. And he pitched very well against the Dodgers. And Bragan says, I'll pitch him all 3 games if I have to. So when it got fogged out, that was a little blessing in disguise as far as the Dodgers were concerned. Tug McGraw throwing in the bullpen for the Philadelphia Phillies. That's to left field. Johnny Milner right there. And out number 2. Carver, funny, before the game, he was laughing. He says he's in the 2nd week of a guaranteed 2-month contract. Now there's 2 gone. We go to the top of the order. Big McBride. He has walked and scored the Phillies' only run in the 1st inning, and he lined to left.
There's Tuggaroo.
That's Tug McGraw. He will come on and take over the pitching chores as McCarver hit for Christensen. Got a piece of Ott on a check swing. 0-1 the count. Five to 1 Pittsburgh. We're in the bottom half of the 5th inning. And it was stated before, the difference of 2 games in this ball game tonight as far as the Phillies are concerned, and also the Pirates. Jammed him with that fastball as Stargell will handle that himself as the Phillies are gone. It's 5-1 Pittsburgh, and we'll be back with more baseball after this word from our local station.
Saturday, Carol Burnett with some old friends and Cheryl Ladd in an all-new show.
Story from Veterans Stadium here in Philadelphia. Tug McGraw, the new pitcher. We talked about Dave Parker, a complete ball player. He talked with Howard prior to the game.
Do you feel that the contract you signed, however subconsciously, brought pressures upon you yourself to account for the relatively slow start?
No, not really. I'm known as a slow start and a strong finisher. I know the media coverage that I did have on my contract created some problems for me at my home front, where I had people do various things to break into my house. I've had my cars damaged a couple of times, but as far as pressure on the field, I feel like when I'm on the field, I'm in my own world and nothing can bother me there.
People don't write about Sinatra's salary or Bob Hope's or a lot of other people in a lot of different fields of endeavors. Don't you think the whole issue of players' salary is a manufactured issue by the sporting press?
Yes, it is. I think it's something that's, I guess it's magnified too much, you know. I guess, you know, you got to consider the players' value to the ball club, the players' past performances, the players' future performance, the potential of a future performance. I think those are some of the things that's got to be considered. I think that the press have dealt with some players unfairly as far as salaries are concerned, but I think it all comes along with the territory, and the only thing that I can do about it is keep playing the way that I do and keep producing.
Now the words of Dave Parker, and he can produce. Here's Ed Ott. Ground ball to Rose, backhanded. He goes to McGraw, the second Philadelphia pitcher of the evening, and there's one away. Now Tug McGraw taking over for Larry Christensen.
Always a little zany, always a little cocky, but suddenly a little subdued because of the way he's been racked up recently with those grand slammers that we've talked about.
Well, they've hit 4 this year. A little Scroogey to Garner. Phil is 0 for 2, has bounced to third and popped to second. McGraw making his 50th appearance of the year. A record of 3 wins, 2 losses, and an even 5, Howard, ERA. That is not the Tug McGraw we've seen in the past. Left center, that's going to be a base hit and maybe more, as Maddox will have to run it down. Garner going to go for 2, and he will stop at second base with a double. Some of the boo birds coming out here at Veterans Stadium.
Yep, they're on, Tug.
Tug, you know, as you look at the ERA, we mentioned McGraw at an even 5, and I think one of the reasons the Phillies kind of bobbling around a little bit this year, you look at their overall staff ERA of 4.31, and that's going to get you in a little trouble right there, and I'm sure it has this year. Here's Jim Bibby. He's bounced to first. He struck out 0 for 2. 0-1 the count. McGraw trying to get himself back on the right track. He's allowed the game-winning hit in the last 3 games that he's pitched, and that included Ed Ott's grand slam this past Saturday. One ball, 1 strike, 1 out, 1 on. And it's 5-1 Pittsburgh. We're in the top of the 6th.
Kansas City has tied Milwaukee. Yankees have reclaimed the lead. Cards lead the Cubs, and we told you about the Astros over the Expos.
That will be foul, third base side. Chuck Tanner. I got to ask him what that star was for. I guess they have those as they do in football, where you do something. It's Stargell stars. I guess Willie is the one that says whether you deserve one or not. Count remains at 1-2. You see McGraw, he's going with the screwball, the scroogey to the pitcher Bibby. Foul back.
That's the story of Tug's problems this year.
That will give you cause to lay awake at night, I'll guarantee you that.
Look for another profession.
That's right.
Lou Brock coming up to bat right now in St. Louis, seeking his 3,000.
Right back to McGraw.
I'll tell you, Bibby hit it.
Good play by Tug. And you take another peek at it. Hits it well, put the glove down, and said, look what I got here. Garner remains at second base. We go to the top of the order. Omar Moreno will come on. He is 1 for 3 tonight. Started everything off for Pittsburgh. He homered his first time at bat. Gave the Pirates a very quick 1-0 lead. They scored one more run in the first inning. They've scored 3 in the third. Phillies with 1 in the first, but that's where we are. You look at Garner at second base. 5-1 Pittsburgh. One ball and no strikes as you look at the scoreboard here. Just looking at number 28 pitching for Minnesota at Fenway Park in Boston, and that is none other than Mike Marshall on in relief. He's going to be in all kinds of games.
It's a big game in Boston tonight for the Red Sox, trailing by 6. Baltimore apparently a certain loser to the White Sox, trailing 6-0 in the ninth. Boston can pick up a very big game.
Two balls and a strike.
Drysdale has not promoted any action tonight, Keith.
I'm enjoying it, though, because I got a quart of ice cream I'm working on.
Moreno calling time. McGraw taking too much time. You look at the right arm of Moreno. A lot of times you get guys that steal bases. I can think of Maury Wills when he stole 104. You look at that elbow pad on that right side. He was all banged up at the end of the year. Moreno used to wear him on his knees. Now he's got one up on his elbow. 3 balls and a strike. There you see the pad. Balls and 2 strikes.
He was half a foot over that one.
He didn't give him the fastball 3-1. He went with the breaking pitch.
Lou Brock has just gotten an infield single. He has gotten his 3,000th career hit. So he joins that select few who have made baseball history, reaching the 3,000 plateau in career hits.
Trio waits for Rose to get to the bag, and he throws him out. Well, the Bucks are gone in the 6th, and after 5.5 it remains 5-1 Pittsburgh. That's the story from Veterans Stadium here in Philadelphia tonight. I'm Don Drysdale with Keith Jackson, Howard Cosell. 5 runs, 8 hits, no errors. There's the 3,000 hit group, and if you might have tuned in late, Lou Brock has joined that select group. So we get ready to go to the top half of the 7th inning, and once again, here's Keith. Okay, Big D.
Well,
that's Keith.
That is not Keith.
That's what I feel like. That's fanatic Philly, David Raymond, who never runs out of energy. He's been wiggling all over this ballpark all night. Tim Foley. Dave Parker and Willis Stargell are the hitters for Pittsburgh. Bucks on top 5-1. Been a very deliberate pace in this ball game. He Foley gives Bob Skinner a lot of credit, straightening out some of his hitting problems, since he's a man who moves around a great deal in the batter's box. He's now tucked his bat back on his shoulders, and he's shortened it quite a bit. So many times that happens because nobody ever asks how, just how many. He made a lot of 300-foot outs before Bob got a hold of him and got him to shorten it down a little bit. That's popped out to the right side for Bake McBride, and there's one down. Now here's the man. He has walked twice, has been on base twice, has scored a couple of runs, but he struck out looking his last time. And I would imagine you can count on the fingers of your hands the number of times that'll happen in the year, maybe one hand.
That's one thing about Parker. When he goes up there, he's not going to really get cheated in his swing.
Tug McGraw now. Let's see if Tug works the breaking stuff to Parker. Comes outside and low.
You know, we were mentioning a little while ago about the 4 Grand Slam home runs hit off of McGraw this year, and all by left-hand hitters. It's amazing at times that you look at left-hand pitchers throughout the course of their careers, and sometimes they just have trouble with the left-hand hitters.
That pitch is up. Dave Parker is reportedly, and I say that, put it in quotes, reportedly insured by Lloyd's because of his big fat contract. I'm of the opinion there's a strike that it's nobody's business what a baseball player makes any more than it's anybody's business what Howard makes.
What was that?
Big swing. So McGraw now at 2-2 with Dave Parker. Well, Oscar Gamble earned part of his salary tonight, didn't he?
He's gone crazy.
That's bounced past the pitcher to the shortstop, Boa. 1 out, 2 out.
Oscar had the game-winning hit, and early he had a home run. He came to the Yankees. He said, I don't know why they wanted me back. I don't see where I'm going to play. But he's been playing and hitting.
I don't know what particular word I want to use. Let's just call it the latest flap involving the Yankees. Stargell hits it over. Trio knocks it down. Can't handle it. Ball coming up off the carpet like a bullet.
I guess they'll give him a hit on that.
They did.
Now that ball coming up and having a little bit of a top spin on the ball. Trio gets over. I would say that I'd bet you 9.5 out of 10 times that he
was
would
not a base hit.
Steal that ball.
I tell you, they put up hit on the scoreboard. I think there's got to be a reconsideration of that. Where's the commissioner?
And you look at it one more time, really just kind of a routine play. The only thing a little bit different, you have the top spin and the ball bouncing high.
Well, ever since we had the incident involving the official score at Anaheim on the purported Nolan Ryan no-hitter up to a point, there's been a hue and a cry, and I think you viewers know our position. And I want to congratulate Alan Malamud, the sports editor of the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner. Writers from that paper will no longer be allowed to serve as official scorers.
John Milner is at the plate, and the count is 2 balls and no strikes to John.
So there is a great and growing list of great newspapers that have abandoned that practice. The New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times, Newsday, all just examples.
Good pitch.
He knew it. Kind of interesting that Brock collected his 3,000th hit against his original team. As you look at that pitch again, the Chicago Cubs. You know, Lou is a frail man.
That should be foul, and it is.
And yet he is one of the handful, Don, you'll remember this, who had a home run into the old center field bleachers at the Polo Grounds. And what a blow that was. Adcock did it, Aaron did it, but one would never expect Lou Brock to do it.
No, you would not. That was a poke and a half. I know one thing, that was the longest walk when you got racked around a little bit walking from that mound to that clubhouse.
Yeah.
Wow.
Milner at 2-2. Hits it to Trio. This time Manny has it. And throws him out. So Stargell stranded on the bases. And we roll along. Middle of the seventh. It's 5-1 Pittsburgh.
I just discovered oil.
Louise, we just discovered oil.
People are discovering Texaco's new Haviland Supreme, the motor oil with a special friction fighter that's been proven in fuel economy tests. Extensive tests showed that 2 of the leading 10W40 motor oils advertising extra gasoline mileage couldn't beat new Haviland Supreme. And you still get Haviland's Cooper-tested engine protection, too.
Discover new Haviland Supreme. Protection plus unbeaten mileage.
No need to tell you what tires I got. They pay themselves and they tell you a lot. Kelly, I'm all charged up with superchargers. Kelly, stepping out with my superchargers. Kelly,
put a charge in your driving.
Kelly, superchargers.
Kelly Springfield, we're out to change America's tires.
30 years ago, on a hot summer's day, your father taught you how to dig for clams. Now that it's a job, the sun seems hotter and the day longer, but the clams taste just as sweet. And now comes Miller time. Time to head for the best-tasting beer you can find. America's quality beer, Miller High Life.
If you've got the time,
if you got the time,
we've got the beer,
Miller Beer.
Next week's ABC's Monday Night Baseball presentation, Texas at Baltimore or Montreal at Cincinnati. Check your local listing. We have a defensive change for Pittsburgh. Bill Robinson has gone in to play left field, relieving John Milner.
Even in that defeat tonight, something noteworthy happened in the Baltimore game, Keith. Jim Palmer came in relief in the 8th inning, returned to action. And for those who want to beat the Birds, that's bad news.
Boy, they've done quite a job without Palmer since he's been on the disabled list with that bad arm.
I'd rather have him active than disabled, wouldn't you?
Joe Coleman is now in the Pittsburgh pen. Doug Bird and Randy Lurch are warming up in the Philadelphia bullpen. It'll be Bob Boone, Manny Trio, and then the pitcher spot.
Bob Boone, one of the snake-bit injured Philadelphia Phillies. Well, the Dallas Cowboys know how they feel as Bob fouls it off, because it seems that the Cowboys early on this year are being themselves snake-bit by injuries. Last night in Seattle, we watched number 41, the brilliant safety, Charlie Waters, not even involved in the play, but pivoting, and you've seen it happen so many times, Keith, and the knee went. Ligament damage. That was a ball. And so Charlie will have his right knee in a cast for at least 6 weeks. Only a remote possibility that he can return in late November, and certainly couldn't return with the old efficiency. What a tough break.
Bob Boone fishing at a breaking pitch, and the count is 1-2.
Oh, he's quite a football player.
Yes, he is.
I love to watch him and Cliff Harris back there. They talk about 2 pros.
He's an ex-quarterback who became a brilliant defensive player. Ball is hit down the left field line, and Robinson after it, and Bill bangs into the wall and makes the catch.
And how many times have you seen that? The manager makes a defensive change in the late inning, and the man who goes in immediately produces a nifty play.
And this was a good play. That ball really wasn't hit that hard, kind of hooking down the line a little bit. Robinson right off with the crack of the bat and going hard right at the wall, and makes the catch and then just kind of leans into it.
Always, Keith, the knee in football.
There's no way you can build it up either, strengthen it. Trio hits the ball out into the right field area for Dave Parker to make the catch, and Greg Gross now will come up and hit for the pitcher. Greg Gross swinging from the left side. There he is, loosening up. And so we'll get the third Philadelphia pitcher of the night. The pitcher of record, however, is still Larry Christensen. Gross came from the Cubs with Manny Trio and Dave Rader. In the trade, they sent Jerry Martin, Ted Sizemore, Barry Foote over there.
Not a bad trade for the Cubs.
Cubbies are tough. They're right in it. Starting today, just 4 out. Gross with a .333 batting average. Been to the plate 90 times. Low. Two down for Philadelphia in the bottom of the 7th inning. One and one.
Line score on the Boston comeback victory over Minnesota. Minnesota got all its 5 runs in the very first inning, remember. Bergmeyer the winner, Mike Marshall the loser. Lynn with his 32nd, Rice his 31st, Hobson his 20th.
2 and 1.
And the Baltimore line score. Steve Trout with a honey. Pitched a good game recently against the Yankees. So Chambliss got to him and beat him.
That's going to be out of play. He's a good-looking young pitcher, Howard. Tall left-hander.
He is the son of Dizzy Trout, the old fireballing right-hander of the Detroit Tigers, but built very differently. Dizzy Trout was a remarkable man in many ways. I remember when Henrik was making his last appearance at Yankee Stadium, coming to the plate. The PA announcer said, "This will be Tommy Henrik's last appearance for the duration." Tommy about to go into the Army. Tommy moved right into the plate. The crowd stood up, gave him a standing ovation. It seemed unending. Tommy stayed in the batter's box, Keith, and Dizzy Trout got off the mound. And he said, "Get out of there, you dope, and enjoy this, because you will for the rest of your life." Dizzy Trout was a great guy.
Old reliable.
So is Henrik. And the richest of baseball's tradition.
2-2 pitch hit sharply on the ground to Garner. Bill throws him out. The inning is over. And Bibby gets him in order in the bottom of the 7th after 7 innings. 5-1 Pittsburgh. The third Philadelphia pitcher of the night, Doug Bird. The numbers on him this year in Philadelphia, his 25th appearance. His earned run average is not all that nifty either. As Don pointed out a while ago, this is a healthy earned run average that rests on the shoulders of this Philadelphia pitching staff in 1979. Doug Bird, of course, coming over here from Kansas City. He'll be pitching to Bill Madlock, Ed Ott, and Bill Garner here in the top of the 8th inning in a ball game that Pittsburgh really jumped on back in the 3rd inning when John Milner hit the 3-run home run, giving him a total of 4 runs batted in for the night and 48 on the season.
Doesn't Nolan Ryan make his first start tonight since he got the injury?
Making the first start tonight against Detroit out on the coast. That's right, Howard.
Foul out of play.
Maybe a little tension right there watching Ryan tonight as far as the Angels are concerned.
Count is 1-1 now to Madlock. Ball is hit to right field for Bake McBride. 1 out.
The surging Royals have just taken a 3-2 lead over the Milwaukee Brewers after 6 full innings of play.
Crowd of 43,111 here, the largest 3-day series in the majors this year and the largest Phillies series in history. They have had 157,575 for this series against Pittsburgh. They've gone very well. They had 63,346 Friday night for the doubleheader. It's the biggest crowd in the major leagues. Ed Ott now with 1 out. Ed has a single in 3 trips in the ball game. It's the line score on the New York game as we gave it to you. Guidry beating Jenkins. And I was down in Dallas, got up this morning, and there was some comment down there, the fact that the Rangers on this road trip are going to run into everybody's top pitchers all the way down the line in New York and Boston and wherever else they go.
Well, according to Don, that's the way you like it.
That's it. Beat the best. Ott hits a shot into right field for a base hit, his second of the night. So Ed's on with 1 away, and Phil Garner comes to the plate. Phil has doubled in 3 trips in the game.
I tell you, 2,215,658 total attendance thus far in the Quaker City.
Ball 1 to Phil Garner.
They turn out in this town for basketball, hockey, the Flyers.
Foul.
The Eagles with a developing team, good enough to have made the playoffs a year ago. Packed houses. It's a great sports town. Great sports town for college basketball, too. With Powers every year. Temple, La Salle,
Villanova,
St. Joseph's, and now the University of Pennsylvania, which got down to the last 4 at Salt Lake City. Things are humming in the Quaker City.
Players of the week, Steve Dillard of the Cubs, National League, the American League. 2 names. They haven't really chosen one. Al McRae or Dan Ford. Both of them had big weeks. There are the numbers we were talking about. The count is 1 ball and 2 strikes to Phil Garner with Ott on first base. That pitch just misses. What?
There's Mr. Bibby.
Hope he's changed that gum a couple of times because he's really been working on it all night. Whoop, look out.
Oh, boy.
When we were in Milwaukee a couple of weeks ago, what was it the commissioner, as you look at this pitch again, a little, in the words of late Charlie Dressen, a little high neck in. Commissioner was saying that outside of the week of the All-Star game, that after that, that Major League Baseball had been drawing 1 million fans a week. Ott goes and is fouled away on 3-2.
A lot of people.
A lot of baseball attendance up again this year.
That's a pretty good buy in today's recreation market.
Yes, it is. Still one of the best buys. Bird just about balked right there. He started to bring his hands together and then brought them back out. Joe Lynette kind of jumped up in the air at third base a little bit.
Joe Lynette, born in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania.
On 3-2, the runner goes. Boa almost broke himself out of the play. He had broken towards second, but recovered in time to go back and field the bouncing ground ball and make the play to first for the second out.
Once I knew another guy from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. He opens now in Picnic on the stage in a Midwestern center.
See the play again. You see Larry Boa had been breaking towards second. Just barely got to it in time to make the play. I know somebody from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania right now who may be a gold medal winner one of these days. A young lady who is a hurdler, Candy Young. Boy, I until you see something special. High to the right side and foul.
Well, the one I was talking about, of course, was Joe Woolley Namath.
Well, they're going to play the final 18 holes in the Greater Hartford Open tomorrow. Sammy Davis Jr. sponsoring that tournament. Played 18 today, and the co-leaders, as you saw, George Cadle and Jack Renner. Judy Rankin won the Western Union in an invitational over in Jericho, New York, beating Beth Daniel. Finally got him finished. That ball is hit well to the right side, going toward the corner. It's off the wall. McBride plays the ricochet, and Jim Bibby is at second base with a double and a run batted in, and the Pirates lead 6-1. They're outscored. I think Bake might have caught that ball. It appeared that ball fooled him a little bit. He kind of trailed the ball a little bit, but Bibby hit it a little bit harder than I think what McBride thought.
He played it defensively, concerned with the wall.
Take another look at it now. Here's Bibby. He's a strong guy. He hits that ball well. McBride trailing the ball all the way, and of course going down the line is going to be slicing away from him.
Watch him.
If he keeps going, as you see the ball moving there,
He
he's
gave
got
up on the ball, Don. He played it defensively with concern for the wall. That's what happened there. He misjudged the distance, the flight of the ball.
Top of the order, Omar Moreno. Foul back.
So, still another insurance run.
I hope that man that tried to catch that's not a surgeon.
Now you can't tie it with a bases loaded home run.
He banged it.
You don't suppose the wrong one played basketball?
I don't think so.
There's a strike. St. Louis 2-zip on the Cubs and 4-1 Houston over Montreal. Two-strike count now on Moreno.
You mentioned before about Bibby not really getting that many base hits. I was watching him round the bag at first base. He got caught in, I think, a little bit of his own power and what was going to happen out there, and he just kind of ran right straight across the bag and decided, well, I said, I got to make a turn here pretty soon.
McBride tags him out. Moreno foul tip. Ball sticks in the glove of Bob Boone, and the inning is over. But another run is across for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they lead now 6-1 in the middle of the 8th. Philadelphia Phillies are running out of time in a ball game that means a great deal to them. They beat the Pirates tonight. They end this series with them 6 back. They lose it, they're 8 back. That's a lot. On going into August 14. Houston is the final score. The Astros hanging in. J.R. Richards starting to pitch a little bit better. He was a winner tonight, 12-11. Steve Rogers took the loss, and Steve has not been having much luck lately.
And from the Bucks' point of view, their lead will be 2.5 if they can hang on to this victory. 2.5 over Montreal. And if you tuned in late, the Lou Brock story, 2 for 2. It came the latest in the short list of baseball immortals who have joined the 3,000 club.
Bake, McBride, Larry Bohr, Pete Rose are the scheduled hitters for the Phillies, and McBride now has a 2-strike count on him. We got Don Robinson throwing out of the bullpen for well, he just came down out of there.
Whoa, Milwaukee has taken the lead 4-3 over Kansas City.
McBride takes it outside, 1-2. Robinson, of course, was a big star last year with Pittsburgh. As there's the line score and winning and losing pitchers. the Houston-Montreal game, but he's had some trouble. He's had all kinds of problems with his shoulder and his back this year. Pitch is inside to Bake, and it's 2-2. Get poking around in the shoulder area. It's pretty hard sometimes to pin down exactly what your problem is. You're still searching really for the answer to the question in the Don. You really don't know. That's foul. Stays alive. 2-2.
Now Frank Tanana has been on a program up in Las Vegas and trying to get himself back into shape. He was supposed to come into Anaheim Stadium tonight or tomorrow and to throw for manager Jim Fregosi and the Angels. I think there's some kind of a, I don't know what it is. There's a medical school or sports medicine or something up there in Las Vegas that he was been working up there.
You did have some work out of Chris Knapp the other night. They got some work out of Knapp. Looked good. 2-2 pitch. Punch foul back in the crowd. Well, you just think what might have been with a healthy Tanana and Knapp. Make the drool a little.
Well, the way the Angels can produce runs and put them on the board, why, it would have been interesting. I think a lot of credit has to be given to Chris Knapp. They told him he's going to have a back operation. Had a herniated disc, and he stayed with it, went through some other therapy, and he's back pitching.
Just inside and low, and now we go to a full count as Danny Ozark is watching another loss.
Not yet. This is not the old saw. Stick with us, but not yet. Too many good hitters in the Philadelphia lineup.
The 3-2 pitch to McBride in the bottom of the 8th inning, and it's foul back here.
Where were you?
A little slight feint out of Howard.
Huh? Didn't mention my left shoulder, did you?
Oh.
McBride hanging in there. And 2.
Jim Bibby, who started struggling, struggled some in the middle. But it's been tough when he had to. McBride hits it down the right side. It's going all the way to the corner. With McBride's speed, it'll be at least 2. And Parker has trouble getting it out of the corner, and McBride goes for 3.
Very quickly, bullpen action for Pittsburgh. A lot of good hitters, as I said, in this Philadelphia lineup.
DeColby is up now in the pen for Pittsburgh, and so is Joe Coleman. You see the trouble that Parker had finding the ball in the pen. He didn't get a ricochet at all. He just rolled up in the corner and laid there for Dave. He had to go all the way and get it. Grant Jackson now in the pen along with DeColby. And McBride is at third with nobody out, and it's 4 scheduled to come. Maybe wanting to go all the way. He's trying to win his 6th in his last 7 starts.
And really, that was only the 4th hit by the Phillies tonight. They had 1 in each of the first 3 innings. And then Bibby has thrown the collar over them for the next 4 until now.
Pitch is high. The ball 1. See that his only complete win, complete game victory this year was against the Phillies August 3rd, 10 days ago. There's McBride coming off third. there's a strike. Over the inside corner.
Crowd didn't like it, but there was excellent location on that pitch. Good strike.
High and away. 2-1. Pete Rose is on deck. Mike Schmidt would be the fourth hitter.
Well, you see that water just dripping off of Bibby's cap.
It really is.
The only guy used to perspire like that was Don Newcomb.
He's thrown 109 pitches so far in the ball game. Boa hits it to the left side. Shallow. McBride will not come. Bill Robinson right there. 1 out for Rose. Well, Pete's knocked in the only other opportunity presented to him. He delivered McBride back in the first inning. Had a chance to do it again. Schmidt to the on-deck circle. Hot out to the mound. Matlock over there, and maybe trying to hang in. With Jackson and Jacoby behind him in the pen. Here we go. Rose takes it. Strike. Just low, ball one. McBride facing at third. Foul, left side, out of play. 1-2 on Pete Rose. Matlock way off the line with Rose at the plate, giving McBride a lot of room to roam down at third. Pitch is high. It's 2-2.
Interesting to watch where the center fielder, Omar Moreno, plays Rose. He's fairly shallow, slightly into left center field. Parker, the deepest of the three outfielders in right field. There you see Moreno, actually very shallow. They got the gap in right center. He's got a little more power than that.
It's inside, and you've got a full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Pete Rose. Now let's see what Bibby tries to do with it. He's got Schmidt on deck. It's 6-1 Pittsburgh.
Bibby kind of huffing and puffing out there now.
Rose fouls it out of play. There's another souvenir. You better put it in an ice bag. 3-2 coming to Rose. Walked it.
So we have a developing situation.
And it's going to be a little more development as far as Mr. Tanner's concerned, because Chuck Tanner making his way to the mound. And that's going to be all. He goes to the bullpen right away. So you get the fourth walk of the night by Jim Bibby. He'll be leaving. A new pitcher is coming. And right now, let us take this time out for Major League Baseball.
The preceding was a message on behalf of Major League Baseball.
Kent Tekulve making his 67th appearance of the season with a 6-6 one-loss record. I think of him often as a physical phenomenon. He is just a rail, but he is a whale of a pitcher. And he comes on in relief of Jim Bibby. Let's go now to St. Louis and bring you the picture story of what happened tonight with Lou Brock as he collected base hits number 2,999 in the very first time at the plate. And later he got number 3,000. The anticipation of this has been lingering all through the weekend as they've drawn huge crowds, and tonight they just scream themselves hoarse as Brock edged to within one of the magic number 3,000. Standing ovation, obviously. And Lou Brock, his second time at the plate, got it. So here's number 3,000. An infield hit, and the game was stopped momentarily as the crowd paid its respects to Lou Brock. The team coming out of the dugout to congratulate him, going 2 for 2. And after the ovation subsided, Brock was to lead the Cardinal lineup, becoming only the 14th man in baseball history to hit 3,000. So there's Lou Brock responding to the crowd at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Baseball's 13th player to hit 3,000. And the Cardinals leading Chicago in that ball game after 5.5 innings by a score of 2-0. Stan Musial, one of the first people after the teammates had gotten there to come out and greet Lou Brock and congratulate him. Stan, the man, of course, one of those who has had 3,000 or more base hits. So now with 2 men on, runners at the corner for Philadelphia in the bottom of the 8th inning, Kent Tekulve is on to face Mike Schmidt. That was pictures of Lou Brock's historic moment tonight provided by KTVI in St. Louis. We thank them very much. With a swing of the bat, Mike Schmidt could inject some excitement into this contest. Big Mike just missed his 40th by less than a foot. His last time up and then struck out. Tekulve in, and here's Schmidt swinging and missing for strike one. Outside, 1-1. The base runners, Bake McBride is starting to take root over there at third base. Pete Rose is at first. Phillies have 4 hits in the ball game. Tekulve relieving Bibby, who pitched a very strong game tonight. He comes down from the side and hits the corner with it. And it's 1-2. A soft fly ball out into right field where Dave Parker comes in, makes the catch, throws to the plate. And McBride now holds up at third, deciding not to test Parker's arm, and then the ball got away, and by then it was too late. So you've got 2 out. McBride tripled to lead the inning.
Well, I think that's a good play by Billy DeMars. You know the strength and the arm of Parker. You're down by 5, 6-1, and there's no need of having a man thrown out at the plate. His run really doesn't mean anything right now. They need a whole bunch. Right.
So the skinny one. I won't call him skinny. He's just a long, slender hunk of muscle and bones, what he is. He's 6'4", 167 pounds, and he pops Luzinski straight up in the air back of home plate. Hit out with a play on it, makes the catch, and McBride dies at third base. So after 8 innings of play, 6-1 Pittsburgh. Back with more after this word from my local stations and a message on behalf of Major League Baseball.
Woodstock 10 years later, beginning Wednesday on ABC's World News Tonight.
Now, news on the hour and air alert traffic reports. Full service on the AM dial 24 hours a day. 1250 WTAE Radio.
Delta Alpha Pi's quiet right now. But wait till the brothers see this month's Playboy. There's the pigskin preview, a Pete Rose interview, and a magnificent pictorial on women of the Ivy League. When they see these girls, things won't be so quiet around here.
Boy, this Dartmouth girl is nice. I think I'll transfer there.
This is Dartmouth, you idiot.
Oh.
The September Playboy at newsstands now.
One thing you probably don't share with your husband is his credit history. But now the law gives you that right. Just ask companies where you share charge accounts to report the credit history in both names. So if you ever have to get by on your own, you'll have your own credit history to help you get the credit you deserve.
Tonight, a 5-part series begins on fan participation at the Pirate games. 5,000 Conrail workers walk off the job in Altoona. The search continues for a man believed to have attacked a woman in O'Hara Township. Details after the game.
The line score in the ball game, 6-11-0 for Pittsburgh, 1-4-0 for Philadelphia. And coming up on Saturday, a full day for you. North American Soccer League playoffs, beginning with Chicago at Fort Lauderdale. The times you see there, the WBC World Light Heavyweight Championship on the line. And then Saturday night, the Houston Oilers and the Dallas Cowboys, live at 9 Eastern Time. One thing, you'll know the Cowboys by the time the season starts, won't you?
Yeah, 3rd straight with them. You can't have a more exciting or mass communicative team involved, I'll tell you.
Oh, Foley hit that bag hard.
Well, there's a way you see a lot of players get hurt just on that play right there, Keith. That long last jump. Good play by Bird just to let Schmidt. Bird was going to go over and make the play, but he couldn't have made the play, and it was Schmidt who came on, and a good throw. And now the long jump by Foley.
He really hit it hard.
He did hit it hard.
Now it'll be Dave Parker and then Willis Stargell. And let's see if Big Parker can get a hold of a Doug Bird offering and do something with it tonight. He's hitless in 2 trips. Pitch is inside. We'll be going to the local news just as soon as the ball game is over. Hang in there. The folks are all ready. Outside. 3 balls and no strikes with 1 out for Pittsburgh at the top of the 9th inning. Three and 1. 3-0. Big David really cranked it up, didn't he?
He turns it loose. We said that before. There's a good pitch, just missing.
His 3rd walk of the night. Now it's Wilbur. Strike. One and one. Ball is ripped to right center. Off the wall. Parker turning at third. Stargell in at second, standing, and Parker holds at third.
He really stroked that so easily.
I'll tell you one thing, you could hang all the wash in South Philly on that one. He really hit it. Stargell, a good low fastball hitter, and that's exactly what he got. And you just heard that thing did rabbit cackle off of that wall.
The batter now will be Bill Robinson.
And he will be intentionally walked.
I don't blame him because he isn't easy either.
What makes you think Madlock is coming up next? Two-time National League batting champion.
You know, Howard, you made a point about Madlock before when you said that you think that there's a chance he's going to be returning as that National League batting champion because of that lineup, and that really is so true. You get a balanced lineup like the Pirates have, guys hitting in behind him that can hurt you a little bit, and they've got to pitch to Madlock a little bit. They just can't afford to walk him or pitch around him.
Bird got a strike.
Good Lord, with 2 outs in the 9th inning, Amos Otis homered. So Kansas City is now tied with the Brewers, 4-4.
A 2-strike count on Madlock.
Whitey Herzog hangs in there, doesn't he?
Punch foul up in the crowd. What little's left. When the Phillies couldn't get it around and get something stirred in the bottom of the 8th inning, a lot of folks were headed home. A crowd of 43,111 just off the outside corner. Now 1-2. Chopper foul. That's another foul by Madlock. Time to pitch. Bird tried to jam him, came inside. Bill Zerk took foul.
You look at that little twirl as you were looking at Madlock before. Something a little unusual. You don't see a lot of hitters like that. His hands really never move. There's no flex to him. But boy, he's got a good quick stroke.
Now 2-2. Hit hard left center field. It's going in the gap and going to the wall. And here comes Parker. And here comes Stargell. And here comes Robinson. And Madlock triple.
He can hit. Now these fans are really, those who are still here, pouring it on the Phillies. Their frustrations being evidenced in this, the year they thought they'd win easily. After all, they've won 3 prior times, and this year they had acquired Pete Rose. Somehow, an absolute symbol of conquest in baseball. individual and team through all the years with the Reds. Thus far, at least, it hasn't worked out that way.
Head on. Bangs it over to Manny Trio. He throws to Rose. And you've got 2 out. 3 runs in to make it 9-1 Pirates. And the Phillies will be looking at rangy right-hander Jacoby in the bottom of the 9th inning. Bill Garner.
Alan, all due respect to Philadelphia and what's happened to them this year, Howard, boy, they have had their share and more of injuries.
Put Bill Garner on.
Yeah, they'll just pitch to Jacoby. That's all they'll do. They had 3 pitchers go down in one day just about. Or they put them all on the disabled list in one day.
Jacoby comes to the plate.
Pittsburgh team is impressive, Don. You got to give it to them. They got hitters coming at you from all over.
And that's one thing about Chuck Tanner. He uses that whole bench.
Jacoby's a .250 hitter. Be something if he jerked one here. Been that kind of a night. Bird's gone to 3 balls and no strikes on Jacoby. This is about where you start thinking, I wish he'd come get me.
Well, this is where Danny Ozark is sitting in the bench, and I'll tell you one thing, he's pulling for Bird right here, because if he walks Jacoby, he has to go out there, and he might have to go out there and get him, and he doesn't want to do that tonight.
Exactly right.
There's the strike. Raleigh Eastwick is in the bullpen.
There in the shadows is Danny Ozark.
Fouled off. Garner at first and Madlock at third. There's Billy, and there's Phillip. Right to Rose. He bangs the ball down disgustedly and goes into the dugout. Going into the bottom of the 9th inning. Pittsburgh 9, Philadelphia 1.
Good evening, Mr. Throneberry.
Hi, Fred. In my first commercial for light beer for Miller, I said if I did for light what I did for baseball, I'm afraid their sales might go down. But sales keep going up. Folks love light because it's got